That is crazy. That is crazy. Wow. All right, you guys. All right, you guys. Well, welcome back. It's me, Coach T, and I am sliding over to this channel because um there is a beef with me and the current social media platform TT. Okay. So for those of you guys that were just watching me, we were having some really deep conversations about the current state of America. And I've seen tons of things actually get reposted on TikTok. I've seen a lot of different topics being spoke about on the other platforms, and I've never seen any violations or any bans. Okay. So I am going to slide over to this platform so we can talk about the current situation of some things that were going on. Now, as I was expressing to some of my besties, the current state of America right now, a couple of things we were speaking of was the mind control app. Okay. And if those of you guys remember that during the 2020 year, if you guys go check it out, they had a mind control app by Domino's. And I don't think that people are actually paying attention to the power that some of these people have. Now, if you're looking at the current state of our politics, then you're going to notice that Trump is really ruffling a lot of feathers. And in ruffling these feathers, there's a lot of investigations that have been sparked. And I think that we, the people, really need to pay attention to what's going on. Now, let's talk about this state of the deep state. Okay. We know that Kash Patel is now the new director of the FBI, and there's a huge investigation on what we call the deep state. And for those of you guys who know what the deep state is, we know that these are people who are in high places who basically sit back and try to figure out how they can play God, how they can make people disappear, and things of that nature. Well, the current conversation, we were actually having a conversation about mind control apps. Okay. And my next step is to actually to come up with a uh, I'm going to try to sue TikTok for freedom of speech. And probably on Monday, I'm going to try to take the steps to try to see if I can take a legal action against TikTok in itself. Okay. Um, yes, I am, baby. And the current conversation before they currently banned me was I was expressing to people that they have something called sonic warfare. Okay. And when it comes to sonic warfare, that basically means that they use frequencies to be able to trigger people into committing different things. Okay. Typically, when you're working with police officers in the military, it's a high possibility that some of the things that they take the military through, they now utilize sonic warfare. One of the examples that I actually used was this last Captain America movie. If you have not saw the last Captain America movie, that is a little bit of the premise of the movie. Okay. Not only does a movie call out the frequency and the mind control that goes on with some of the soldiers in the movie, it actually spilled over to Harrison Ford, whom actually played the president in this movie, and it caused him to emerge into an Incredible Hulk. All right. And what I was doing is I was referencing some of the things that we are experiencing in this day and age to the movies that we're not paying attention to. And one of those things are sonic warfare. When it comes to sonic warfare, they use these frequencies for one to not only help get rid of people, but for two to get people to commit and carry out acts that they normally wouldn't have, and they would have no recollection of it. Okay. One of the examples that I used, thank you, Unapologetic, was Christopher Dorn. And for those of you that remember the story of Christopher Dorn, you know that he was a cop in the 90s who tried to uncover corruption in the LA Police Department, and they wound up unaliving him after they found out that he was trying to spill the beans on the entire LA Police Department. Okay. And with the case of Christopher Dorn, it was like, the person who tries to do the right thing, once they find out that they can't do the right thing, then they're going to get rid of that person because you don't have enough money, you don't have enough security to go against the entire police force that is corrupt. Okay. So when we look at the current situation of what Kash Patel is doing, Kash Patel is actually going after a lot of people who are in positions to help control some of these things that happen. One of the things we need to look about, which what I was talking about on the other app, was when they want to try to change certain things in the United States. Let's say, for instance, they want to take away your gun rights. One of the things that they do is they will try to come up with something to embark fear into the community. So if they know that they can use a mind control app, or if they know that they can, you remember that, okay? If they can use a mind control app, and if they can use a frequency to have these people who are actually going to do some of these unalivings, they know that they can use it as a tactic to be able to unarm Americans. Okay. So as we talk about these things, the other app actually banned me for spreading misinformation. Okay. But these are just conversations for entertainment purposes only. I believe not only I am flagged, but I do believe that I'm not only being watched by other individuals, but I do believe that I'm being watched by FBI and CIA. But that's neither here nor there. But there are things that they know that our government is doing to try to control the masses. And one of them is using different frequencies as well as mind control devices to kind of get people to do things they normally wouldn't do. Okay. And when you look at the series of events that's taking place, Kash Patel actually being head of the FBI, he is going to ensue a manhunt to try to not only prove that some of these things are true, but put an end to it all. Okay. Now, again, this is not in any way saying that I support everything that they're doing, but what I am saying that we should watch very closely what is going on, because we need to understand when you work for a corporation and when you work for a specific business, there is a certain way that you can communicate so much truth, right? You can't tell everything, you can tell some things. Okay. So when we know that you can tell some things, then we understand that they are going to have to communicate to us in a level that does not cause or it is an admission of guilt. Okay. So they're going to have someone to tell them how to respond. Hey, thank you, baby. Okay. What we need to pay attention to in this time is why are some of these people committing some of these things, and who are the components to keep us from telling the truth. Okay. So as you know, yesterday in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, there was from TT, welcome. There was a hostage takeover in a hospital in Philadelphia on yesterday. And I think a lot of the things that we need to ask is why he went in there with zip ties as if he was going to tie somebody up, right? He went in there full throttle with the pew-pew, okay? Trying to see or get rid of whomever it was. Well, when you're one person who is trying to unveil or unleash some truths, thank you, baby, trying to unleash some truths, then you're probably going to be under fire. And this young man did not make it out. Now, when you think about that story, I need you to think about the story of Christopher Dorn. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do these and I'm going to post these to what were the theories behind the zip ties. I got you in a second. I'm going to post these stories about Christopher Dorn onto my TikTok. Okay. So Typically, when someone brings zip ties, they're coming to take you hostage because they're going to hold you until you tell. Okay. The perpetrator did not make it out. The victims lived, right? Officers were pew-pewed, but not left to be unalived. Okay. But the officers made sure that they unalived the perpetrator. Okay. Typically, when you take a zip tie, you're taking a zip tie to get someone to tell information. You understand what I'm saying? You're going to take a zip tie because you want to hold them because you're trying to get out a truth. And typically, you just want them to tell the truth. You don't want to hurt them. You're trying to get out a truth. And when he went in with zip ties, he went in to try to get something out. Okay. And they unalived him. Right. So when you look at a story like Christopher Dorn's story, right? When you look up the story of the 77th precinct in New York, the entire precinct was selling narcotics out of the precinct. You understand me? There are a multitude, and it has been a multitude of different activities that has happened on American soil with our, did no one hear the victim screaming? Yeah, they knew, but that didn't have that, they knew. But remember, he only pew-pewed the officers, right? Not the victim. And he never got to get who he was going to. Because again, remember about the dude with the United Healthcare. What's his name? Luigi. Okay. Luigi unalived them. Why? Because we know with our healthcare system, right? They're picking and choosing who they want to save, right? They're picking and choosing who gets the health care. And even if you have been paying for health care, all of this is a system, okay? And a part of what this administration is doing is it is now debunking the system. You understand me? It's not fair that your loved one should be unalived because someone else wants, okay, yeah, LAPD. Somebody else wants that kidney. Okay. So we really have to understand what's going on. So if you think back to the LAPD, you think back to what they tried to do with OJ Simpson, you think back to the multitude. L passed away, right? Yep, someone heard him. That's right. When you look at the multitude of different, and all of us has talked about it. Let's talk about real quickly the FBI and the CIA. Both of those organizations have been around for decades. They knew what was happening with racism in America. They knew there were tons of people who were incarcerated for crimes they did not commit, right? But not only that, the FBI and the CIA would not intervene in certain situations because their comment would be, if the people don't say anything, we can't come, but you're federal. Okay. So breaking up the FBI and the CIA is another part of a cover-up. Okay. They didn't do their due diligence as federal organizations, especially in states like Alabama and Mississippi. And Mississippi didn't take slavery off their books until the 2000s. Okay. So those are two agencies from a federal aspect that wasn't for the people, especially not for people of color. Okay. Now, when you look at what Kash Patel is doing, he is uncovering what we call the deep state. And when we talk about the deep state, you have to talk about the people who, for instance, every state and city has a fund. And every state and city has a fund, and they have funds allocated for people who may lose their lives by the hands of violence. No one gets that money, right? They have funds for someone who may report being sexually assaulted by senators, state officials, things of that nature. They buy those people off. There is a fund for that. Okay. This is a fund that taxpayer dollars pay for, and they pay people off once they commit a crime. When really a lot of events are prior to us being born. Not, that's right. Okay. So when you look at what this current administration is doing, they are finding that there are a lot of funds that are being sent in places that's not true. They're finding out that a lot of Americans who are operating in departments of state and federal, they're not doing their due diligence with the money. They're not returning their money back. And one of the examples that I used before I was banned was it is a fund. And actually, if you go to your local city hall, they have an annual book that's called it's the fiscal funding, the finances. You will see those numbers in that book if you go to your local city hall. And this is the perfect time of year. It's January. You can go there and tell them, hey, I need to get a copy of everything that you guys do with your money on an annual basis. Okay. You know it was shredded. Okay. But this is to the public that they actually have to tell you where your tax dollars was going. And you're going to go through there and you're going to see there's one fund in particular. Like I said, it goes to the families of victims who've been unalived by violence. How many families have you heard of that actually received money when their families are unalived from violence, unless they actually sue the city? Okay. Now we got to remember, one of my examples was, if there are 170 million people in America who is donating $1 a week to taxes or giving $1 a week in taxes, right? That's $170 million a week. Once you multiply that $170 a week times 4, okay, you're looking at about $800 million. That's just at $1. How many Americans are paying more than $1 for their taxes? Okay, we're paying hundreds of dollars for taxes, hundreds of dollars for taxes. Okay, where's the money going? That was one of the things that got me flagged off of the other app. Let's talk about number 2. Because I was flagged on this app, that also lets me know that they are paying people to go and put out information. These are not people who are just coming up with, regular commentary. These are people that they are paying to be able to come on here and do so, because I'm not stating anything any different than anybody else on any platform, but I am banned. Okay. So they are also paying people to come onto these platforms and put out different rhetorics and different opinions from their behalf, whether it's to support or to negate whatever the facts there is. And for 2, I already know that I'm being watched by the feds and the CIA and anybody else. Okay. So once we begin to talk about, hey, we're spending $100 a week or more in taxes, times 170 million people, and we got more than 170 million people. If you just take $100 a week and you multiply that, where is the money going? This is one of the reasons why they keep us distracted. This is why they keep us at work so hard. This is another reason why inflation is going up. This is another reason why your roads are not getting fixed. This is another reason why your kids are not being taught. Let's understand this. The deep state controls how and where money is going to go. And the money is not going to schools. Do you know why money is not going to schools? Because the deep state are the people who is actually investing in prisons. There you go. There you go. There you go. There you go, Kylie. There you go, Kylie. There you go. Okay. They're not putting the funds into the schools, because when they build a jail, they build a jail based on 3rd grade reading scores. Okay. Hence is the program No Child Left Behind. So they don't even have to teach the child. But what America does understand is that when America does not provide knowledge for that child is going to be frustrated, and more than likely that child is going to get into trouble and mischief because they are not properly educated. Listen to me, y'all. This is a system. Now, if they can just take the moment to keep us distracted, everything that's about to be uncovered with this new administration, Americans' mouths are going to drop. Now, we just took a minute and said, hey, we take $1 for 30 days, you multiply that by 170 million Americans. You understand what I'm saying? That's $2.8 billion. We're talking about a month. A month. You multiply that times 12. What's 3 times 12? $36 billion a year. Americans are spending, and I'm going to say it again. This kind of corruption is going to have the mouths of Americans dropping on the floor. Let's not talk about the loved ones. Did we talk about the vice president that has Trayvon Martin's heart? Did we talk about Selena Gomez having Kaninka Jenkins' heart? Did we talk about just before 2020? They were saying that they were anticipating tons of CEOs to step down. Nobody remember this, y'all. Y'all don't remember this? Just before COVID kicked the doors in, the conspiratorial theories, okay? And I think I'm going to name the channel Conspiratorial Theories Only, Conspiracy Theories Only, okay? Just before COVID kicked in, they were talking about a bunch of different CEOs were going to step down anyway. And before the CEOs could step down, here come COVID. Now, I got a couple of stories. that I got to put out there about COVID. Okay. What do you buy, build a jail at 3rd grade level, or where you're referencing the school? Okay. So the way they determine how they're going to build or how many jails they are going to build, they're going to base it off of 3rd grade reading scores. Keep in mind, every year your kids get tested to see what level they are on, right? Every year the teachers are not getting paid enough. The schools are overcrowded. And because we know that the formula to a strong, smart child is you cannot have overcrowded classes, you need someone to take time, okay, with your children. So what they do is when they test your child in 3rd grade and see where their reading level is, if their reading level is not up to par, they know that they're going to have to build X amount of jails, because when you're uneducated, you're going to lean into crime. You understand what I'm saying? So they know that if you're in the 3rd grade and you're behind in your reading, you're behind in your math, you're going to come to a life of crime. This is psychology at this point. Okay. Psychologically, you can't do anything else. So now all of these influences, they're going to bring you there. But hold on, let's get a little bit deeper. Okay. Let's talk about the sting operations. Okay. The sting operations that actually happen, right? So they're going to send an undercover someone from the FBI stating that they're trying to get rid of the dealers in your area, right? They have to go into full, let me say this right. They got to step into the whole art of being a dealer, okay? And these people now connect with other organizations, which they're all in cahoots, right? And what they do is they got to operate as a kingpin now. And as they operate on a kingpin, what do you think they do? They get your kids, whatever kid they can. And your kid is the fall guy. Remember, this is a system. Your kid is a fall guy, and the federal agent that they put into place to act like a cartel never gets touched. But you got countless of men and women who are in jail to this day for crimes that they were baited into committing. These are the things that are about to be exposed. That's right. When it comes to you didn't know that about the education system? Listen, baby, God will tell you. But listen, when God tell you something, you can't go to swatting. No, Lord, that ain't true. But no, Lord, they're Christian. No, Lord, they're police. You can't do that. When God tells you something, you need to pay attention. Okay? When narcotics hit our streets, it's not us and it's not our kids. When weapons hit our streets, it's not us and it's not our kids. They have people who are in high positions and officials who are in high positions coming and dropping them off to our kids. The feds are not raising minimum age wage for a reason, because psychologically they know how people move. Listen, you got to remember, our system has been studying people and humans for a very long time. So they know the lack of money is going to push you into a life of crime. Listen, if I don't pay you money, when you go to jail, I can get paid for it. That's federal funding when they're in jail. Okay. So this system, in order to cover their tail, right, they're going to get an FBI agent to operate as a cartel head in your city and in your state. And then what he's going to do, he's going to recruit people because he got to play the role, right? He's going to recruit your daughters, your sons. They don't really care about their educational level, but they're going to recruit them. That's right. That's right. They're going to recruit them. And a part of the influence is making sure they're uneducated, because the less uneducated you are, the more likely that you're going to step out there and do something. You understand what I'm saying? You have nothing to lose when you're uneducated. That's why minimum wage is the way it is. That's why they allow businesses to continue to go up on a corporate level, because the harder that you make it, listen, we just built 10 prisons because we know that the third graders, how old is the third grader? 7, 8? We know in 4 years he gonna be in here. But you know why? Because we got our cartel guy out there trying to bait them up. Because your mama struggling, your dada struggling. You better remember, Snowfall. They struggling, and you're gonna want to do something. Let's talk about the rap game, right? We don't know that the rap industries, the rap individuals are dibbling and dabbling their hands in human trafficking as well. We don't know that our rappers are dibbling and dabbling in narcotics. I think I need to go on Patreon. I'm not going to make it. And this is why our rappers, that's another influence. They got all the rappers and they brought them into this whole little meeting and was like, hey, this is what we need you to do. And long as you do what we say do, we're going to make sure you're paid. Yeah, you can be in the shelter, but listen, if you got a kid, especially a boy child who wants to help you, he's going to go out there and try to do something illegal. Okay, so again, their psychology is, when we put you in school, a system, right? What does the school system train you for? It trains you by the bell to move when they tell you to move. It trains you to sit down for X amount of time in an hour. It trains you that someone else is teaching you. It trains you to eat when they say eat. It trains you to come into a classroom when they say come into a classroom. It's already training you. No, it's not. It's called school to prison pipeline. They're already training your mindset of your child to be able to listen to someone. What time you got to be here? Go from class to class. You eat when we say eat. You recess when we say recess. You do the work that we say do. So now they underpay the teacher, they overcrowd the room, and your child is going to be stuck not getting the attention that it needs. You know why? Because they know that the mothers and fathers are out trying to work 17 jobs just to put a roof over their head. So you can't teach the child what you need to. You can't be there to spend time with the child. You're the most impressionable person in that child. You cannot do what you want to do because the system is already set up for them to win. And as we look at what this administration is doing, you can expect for these people to crumble. Listen to me. If you go to my Facebook, you will see that I called this out in 2019. America will be dismantled. And I'm probably going to get banned on all social media for this. America is being dismantled as we speak. Not only is it important that you need to school your children, you do not let anyone out school you. That's right. So be quiet. And you know what else it trains you to do? It trains you to listen to what they say and not think for yourself. Do you believe that when they first started to create books, nursing books, they would say that Black people didn't feel pain? They would allow the Sisters of the Confederate to input things in some nursing books. Yes, it is. Designed to fail. That's right. They would allow the Sisters of the Confederate Party to put things in nursing books and say that Black people didn't feel pain. And they would use these books to train white doctors into believing that because we had a different color, we didn't feel pain. This was in books that they put in schools that they approve, schools that they say you got to go to in order to get a degree. And soon as you buck that system, you out of there. This is where we take our power back, y'all. So now, when you really dig, this is why the dismantling of the Department of Education. Let's talk about it. The Department of Education does nothing for the school system. We are ranked at the bottom. You know why it's failing? Because all of us went to school, baby. It's failing because we all went to school. But I promise you, if you go to India, between the distractions of music, movies, and what they already teach us, that's why it's failing. What the enemy does is he set up distractions. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're being pressed and you can't get food for your baby, and you go out there and sell your body or sell a narcotic or do something illegal, rob somebody, cheat somebody, or anything like that, you understand what I'm saying? That is enough to make the other side angry. And when you look at the beginning of the housing population or what we call the projects, right? We really didn't have an issue with racism until after the early 1900s. I need y'all to look this up. You don't have to take my word for it. But there was a system to where we were not always battling discrimination. Okay. Keep in mind, when you go back to the Egyptian days, people sold people and they were of the same color, but they did not start changing the trajectory of white and black until the early 1900s. And what would happen was there was a housing community in New York, if I'm not mistaken, Adamsville, Somersville, something like that. I can't remember the name of it. And what they would do is they would never let them outschool you. That means you don't ever let nobody teach your child more than you. That's what I mean by it. Before your kid touches school, you between 1 and 4, you should have already taught them their alphabet. You should have already taught them their numbers. You should taught them, they should know their address, their name, your phone number. Before when they go to school in the morning, you should be teaching them, hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. When they get back from school, you should be teaching them some more. Hey, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. You never let them go to school and let the school outschool you. When they go sit up in the school listening to everybody else all day. 4 years, you ain't told them nothing. In the morning, you ain't said nothing to them. At night, you ain't said nothing to them. You just let them grow. And the only person teaching your child something is them in the school. Nope. You don't let your mama outschool you. You don't let your uncle outschool you. You don't let the sister. Your job, when you raise that child, you are that child's God until you teach them who God is. You do not let that child get someplace and let somebody else tell them something and you ain't already told them, or you not going to tell them. Listen, how do you think the enemy gets his hold on your kids? Because you sitting up there talking about, oh, I don't want to tell my kids this. I don't want to teach my kid about that. The enemy out there waiting to school your kid and teach them something different and get them draped off. Oh, come over here. Because you never taught your kid, don't talk to strangers. You never taught your kid, don't judge. You never taught your kid, don't go get in nobody car because this, that, and third. You never taught them. You just felt like, oh, they just already know. You don't ever let nobody out teach you. Your child will lose respect for you, and the person who they feel like taught them the most, that's going to be the one that they run to and go to because they felt like that person out taught you. You tired, you ain't got no time, you ain't got no this, you ain't got no that. You understand what I'm saying? To be pure, to be kind, be pure, be crime free. That's right. But let me tell you something. You still got to teach your child that crime is still out there. Let me teach you how to duke up. Let me teach you what you do if somebody do kidnap you. Let me teach you what you do if you do get caught in a situation. See, the thing that my father did was he had me doing push-ups at 6. Okay? Because he was expressing to me, I need you to know how to defend yourself. Everybody not like you. Everybody not sweet, everybody not kind, and I need to make sure you can handle yourself out here on these streets. You can't be walking around just because you teach me to be sweet. Everybody else gonna be sweet. No, they will get swallowed up and eaten alive. Yes, baby. Your job is to be pure. Your job is to be sweet. Your job is to be kind. Your job is to be honest. But my father will still double back. Now, listen. Now, everybody ain't honest, and everybody not gonna like your honesty. That ain't got nothing to do with you. Your job is be honest, and if they can't accept your honesty, you keep on moving. There is no way in the world that you navigate yourself through this life and every single thing that's in your brain, you ain't gave it to your child. Now, there were times my father would try to teach me something. He said, listen, don't ask me about that right now. You're not old enough. Don't ask me about that right now. It's not your business. When you get old enough and I get ready to talk about it, we'll talk about it. He wasn't going to lie to me. But you don't let nobody out teach you. You teach your child the truth. I'm going to teach you like this, but that world out there will chew you up and spit you out. Don't you be out at night. Don't you be going, carrying on with nobody talking about you met them on the internet and you don't know nothing about them. Don't you be out there and you ain't text nobody their phone number. You ain't text nobody their name, their address. Don't nobody know where you at. Don't do that. You got to teach them that. Because if not, their goofy little demonic ridden friend gonna come get them draped off in something and they not gonna know how to fight their way out of it. My father was honest with me. Some situations you gotta play cool. You can't be screaming, because as soon as you get to screaming, they're gonna want to do something to you. They're gonna want to hurt you. So just be easy. You read them, and the first time you get an opportunity to get away, you get away. You gotta teach them and you gotta train them. Okay? Yes, ma'am. Because the enemy is seeking whom he may devour. What does the Bible say? It says your people perish from the lack of knowledge. So if you're not informed them, I don't care who it is, not your mama, not your daddy, not your brother in the alley. That's why it's important. If you teach your kids about the Bible, you don't have to be specific. The story of Cain and Abel let me know. If your brother will flip on you, anybody will flip on you. The story of Joseph, if you teach your child the Bible, there's nothing new under the sun. And the child, they're not going to be walking around being scared of people, but because you use the Bible as a reference, that child will always have that in their head about them stories. And even if they do go navigate their way through something, they'll always think about them stories about how people really can be, whether it's your mother, brother, father, sister, aunt, uncle, niece, the king, whoever. So don't let nobody out teach your children. Okay? But remember, this is a system. Okay? This system is set up to keep you distracted. And the rich get rich and the poor get poor. How does the rich get rich and the poor get poor? By third grade, you underpaid as the... How a rapper gonna get paid more than a teacher? Everybody get paid more than teachers. The teachers underpaid in the overcrowded school. The United States of America psychologically know that is not how a nation is going to thrive. They know that. But the rich get rich and the poor get poor. Why? Because the rich people covering it up. They taking, what numbers did we just use? We just used the numbers from taxes at $1. I know everybody on here paying more than $1 in taxes. You're talking about $36 billion a year, and we can't pay our teachers better. So when he dismantled the Department of Education, they don't do anything for us anyway. We're at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to education in America. Every other country is ahead of us when it comes to our education system, when it comes to healthcare. We're the sickest people in the world. But we got vaccines. And we're so distracted. You know why we're distracted? Because we working overtime, trying to afford rent that we can't afford. Then they got us trapped up with having, oh, the man can't live in the house while you get food stamp. Who not? Listen, they want to send you to jail for 5 years for trying to use an address. You're going to use your parents' address because you want your kids to go to that school. So now you done put the kid in the school on your parents' address, and they want to come and lock you up because you're trying to better your child's education, and they want to say it's fraud? Y'all better not get me started. That's why I'm running for president. I need to get a Patreon channel because I'm telling you, these platforms, they're not going to let me stay. Listen, when I was on Facebook let me get about 2,500 followers. After that, I couldn't get no more followers. So I already know this platform not going to last. I'm going to have to get me a Patreon because the stuff that I'm talking about, honey, I don't know how I'm going to dress this up. Like I said, I might have to do a show called Conspiracy Theories Only. Okay. Where we talk about different conspiracy theories on the streets or something like that. You understand what I'm saying? So when I do this TikTok tour, y'all have y'all questions written down for me because I'm going to be going in when I talk on this TikTok tour. Okay. And yeah, I'm gonna have my little double-breasted bulletproof vest on. Because I'm gonna get in trouble. There's a system. And they send our kids to school. The food that they feed our kids, yes, they are. Yes, they are. That's right. And then listen, let me tell you what they're doing now. When the work the kids get now, the parents don't know how to do that work. The parents ain't home to help them with their homework, but now they done switched up this math and English so much, the parents don't know what to do. The parents don't know how to teach the kids how to do this new work because they done switched it up again. So now, here the enemy go again, trying to find another way. Listen, the Department of Education is not for us. The Department of Education is ripping us off too. They're getting hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loans. They know that some of these colleges is ripping us off. They know that some of these colleges is keeping our money. And when you call the Department of Education and say, hey, my school's ripping us off, they say, hey, we ain't got nothing to do with that. Only thing we here to do is collect the check. So you mean to tell me you're going to force me to pay a loan that I'm telling you they didn't send me my money and you don't care about me getting my money, but now I'm forced to pay a loan that's on my credit, hurting me. And I told you that they stealing from me. So not only is the Department of Education going to go bye-bye, now the state is in control of the schools. So now if you got a beef with the school, you need to go to that state, and that state is going to deal with that county, and that county is going to be the one that's held responsible for how they're teaching your child. Y'all don't remember in Atlanta that they were stealing? Yes, I was banned until the 3rd. Yep. In Atlanta, they had funneled and stole so much money from the educational system. They got like 6 or 7 years. What? Listen, these people are stealing from everywhere. Did you hear Jasmine Crockett the other day said Americans don't need $5,000? We're going to be out of a job? Listen, nobody's coming up with a solution. Nobody's coming up with a solution. Let's talk about a couple of solutions. Listen, do you see what they did to the farms in America? Do you know why? Because they wanted to feed us poison. Because they wanted to keep us sick. So you know what we got to get back to doing? We got to get back to doing single sourcing, what we call right here. So that means in America, we are going to have to relearn how to do things with cotton, how to make clothes, how to make t-shirts from scratch, how to build food and sell locally. You think that we just supposed to sit here and just do nothing? But nobody's coming up with any options though. You know why? Because if they come up with options, that puts them out of a job. So now if everybody in every city, in every state, if every apartment complex, if every house decided to invest making kids pay for school lunch, aka frozen food, taxes aren't paying for our school to provide lunch, because it's in their pocket, Kylie. But that food is poison anyway, baby. That food ain't even real. So listen, the conveniences is what we're trapped under. We're going to have to grow our own food and sell it to the local supermarket. We're going to have to do our own thing. Listen, Trump is doing these taxes and tariffs for these other countries because we don't produce anything anymore. That's right, higher calling. If you can get your whole community higher calling, let's say you do jalapenos, one does collard greens, one does onions. That's how we used to do it back in the day. And you go to the farmer market and you sell it because you're not going to be able to eat all those vegetables. You getting exercise, you keeping the earth renewed, you getting rid of all these dangerous factories. You're making money, right? Somebody somewhere on the farm, okay? Now let's talk about why farms need to do animals, right? And then individuals need to do food. Because one of the reasons why we're getting hit with E. coli, right, is because a lot of these farms are doing the same thing on the same land, okay? So now, if you got the cows pooping up here and you got the spinach down here and the cows pooping and the cow poop running down here onto the spinach and they're not cleaning the spinach, now you're carrying some things. You understand what I'm saying? So we got to find a way that when they start to dismantle the system, how are we going to bounce back? And the only way that we're going to be able to bounce back is by creating and making our own food, creating and making our own clothes, creating and making, thank you, baby. Heard on that. And we all going to wrap it up. You know what I mean? But creating and making the things that we know propel this country. Okay. But I know it's late, y'all. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my videos tomorrow. Heavy on the food is not real. I'm going to do my videos tomorrow on TikTok. Okay. Like I said, I'm banned to the 3rd. So I'll be back here tomorrow at 8. Okay. But y'all going to see my videos pop up on TikTok. If y'all got some questions that we want to talk about, let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to go ahead and start making my videos for this channel as well. And I'm going to do my Patreon because I'm telling you, I'm not going to make it on these platforms. Okay. I'm not going to make it on these platforms. So I got to have a backup place. And then I'm going to go ahead and activate my .com. Okay. But I thank you so much for joining me, you guys. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to be back tomorrow at 8. Stay tuned on TikTok. I'm still going to be posting. I'm still going to be doing videos. I'm going to talk about the 77th precinct and how they got busted in the 80s. I'm going to talk about Christopher Dorn. Right. I'm going to talk about a couple of things to reel us back in. So y'all guys go ahead and join me. I'll see you tomorrow. I thank y'all for joining me. I appreciate y'all so much. And I'll see y'all on the other side on the 3rd. But until then, I love you bunches. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.